Bueno, en la convención anual de la Asociación Argentina de Publicidad vamos a tener la oportunidad de ver un poco todos los temas de la actualidad de la transformación de la industria. Vamos a tener a muchos invitados y especialmente trajimos a Bob Hoffman, primera vez en Latinoamérica. Nos interesa mucho su figura porque tiene una visión muy crítica de la industria y de la publicidad, sobre todo en los últimos tiempos. Y nos gusta mucho su visión porque nos sacude y de alguna manera nos hace repensar en lo básico, ¿no? En la creatividad, en la innovación y en las ideas como motor de esta industria. Así que por eso esperamos poder escuchar sus palabras.
Well, tomorrow I am going to be talking about what I see as the gap between how marketers think and behave and how consumers think and behave. And the essence of my talk is going to be based on three issues. One I call the digital delusion, one I call the brand delusion, and one I call the age delusion. And the talk is going to be about how marketers are misinterpreting, in my opinion, those three delusions and are costing themselves a lot of money. So, in my opinion, the digital delusion is the delusion that marketers had that consumers would want to interact with online advertising. And in fact, consumers have shown themselves to be very reluctant to interact with online advertising, but this hasn't changed our opinions. We still are living in the fantasy that people want to interact with online advertising. The second delusion is about brands, and our delusion there is that people are in love with brands, that people want to join the conversation about brands. It's just not happening. If you go to Facebook or if you go to Twitter, you can see that there are no conversations going on about brands. It's a delusion and a fantasy that has cost us a lot of money. The third delusion is the age delusion, and that is marketers' obsession with young people. In fact, people over 50 are the most valuable generation in the history of marketing, and they're being completely ignored. In the USA, people over 50 are responsible for over half of all consumer spending, but are only the object of 10%, only the target for 10% of all advertising activity. So these are three big things, and I'm going to talk in much more depth about all of them tomorrow. The consumer is, in the marketing industry, there's the saying that the consumer is in charge. The problem is the consumer is in charge of certain buying decisions, but the consumer has lost more and more power as marketing entities have consolidated. We now have Facebook and Google, who are probably responsible for 70 to 75% of all the online advertising dollars they are reaping. We have fewer and fewer businesses. As businesses are consolidating, we have fewer choices about what telecom companies we use, what banks we use, and that is contradictory to the idea that the consumer is in charge of everything. It's simply not true anymore. Well, I'm not sure I'm one of the most respected, but I am critical of the advertising industry, and I love the advertising industry. I worked in it for 41 years, and I loved working in it. But I see changes happening to it that I think are uncomfortable for me, and I think they're not healthy for the industry. I think they're not healthy for our clients, and I think they're not healthy for consumers. And so I'm critical of that. I hope that there is some respect for what I have to say, as you said. But frankly, I'm still mostly out on a limb, and I think there are many people in the advertising and marketing industry who think I'm crazy, who think I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. They're entitled to their opinions. But I'm trying to get some of these issues into the open by speaking about them, and hopefully others will agree with my point of view. It's hard for me to know who takes my advice and who doesn't, because I don't usually consult with companies, so I'm not in with them. I do talking to large groups, and I really don't know who takes my advice and who doesn't. I do know that there was one company that changed their whole targeting efforts based on what I had to say, but that's really the only one I know about. Data is very important for any decision making. You need to make decisions based on facts, not opinions, and data provides those facts. The problem becomes when data drives everything and ideas become no longer important. And that's what we're faced with now. We are so obsessed with data in the advertising business and in the marketing business that we have forgotten that the most powerful thing for advertisers is a brand idea. And brand ideas don't come out of data. It doesn't matter how good the data is if at the end of the line the idea is terrible. If the idea stinks, everything stinks. Doesn't matter how good the data is. So yes, data is important, but that doesn't make the idea less important. And I believe that in the advertising business these days, we have devalued the creativity, and we have replaced it with data. And I don't think that is the right thing to do. We need data, but we also need creativity. That's where I'm critical of the obsession with data. The problem with fake news online is a very, very difficult one, because we're walking a line between free speech and misleading the public. It's a very difficult line to walk, and I don't, if I were Facebook or Twitter, it's not an easy problem to solve. However, there is one way that we can reduce it, and that is to end advertising tracking, advertising online tracking and online surveillance. And let me explain to you the relationship there. The advertising business used to be about delivering a message and delivering information to consumers. Online advertising has become, to a large extent, about collecting information about consumers. We follow them everywhere, we track them, we know everything about them, and I think this is dangerous. In Europe, they have put a stop to a lot of these practices with something called the GDPR. And I think in the US, where I come from, we need to do a similar thing. One of the problems with fake news is the information that we collect about people, that advertisers collect about people, is used to get very small groups of people and send them direct messages that the message senders know are fake, but know will influence those people. It's a very dangerous practice. The other practice is through social media, fake headlines attract a lot of attention. Fake headlines then lead people to fake websites where ads are sent. And these people who develop fake websites are making money by advertisers sending ads programmatically. It's a very complicated system. I'm trying to explain it as simply as I can. But it does a lot of danger to the public, and it's not helpful.
He was a pioneer in the industry. Dave Droga does great work. His agency does great work, but Bernbach is iconic. Droga is not yet iconic. Maybe he will be someday. And, if you ask me in 10 years, maybe he'll get the award. But right now, Bill Bernbach gets the award. I think Mark Zuckerberg is a very bright person, obviously, brilliant person, built an amazing company, but has no sense of true north, doesn't know right from wrong. Facebook has been lying about
stuff for years. It has been dangerous to the U.S., and consequently, I cannot give him an award for anything. It would not be that difficult for them, for Facebook, to be a more wonderful company if they just learned how to tell the truth. That's a tough one because they are both, I mean, Bezos is amazing what he has built, and Kroc was amazing with what he built. However, McDonald's was a client of mine, and Amazon wasn't, so I'm going to give Ray Kroc the award. Here's what I would tell you. I am far from an expert on creativity in Argentina. As you know, I'm in North American, and I don't want to pretend to be an expert. Having said that, I would also say that through what I have heard from people and through what I know from industry sources, Argentinian creativity is way out of proportion in a good way to the size of the country. And your reputation in awards and in recognition is fabulous for the size of the country and the population. So once again, I'm not an expert, but I congratulate you anyway. I would like to be a comedy writer. I would like to write comedy, but I'm not funny enough to do it. I would also like to write about science. I'm very interested in science, but once again, I'm not smart enough to do that, so I'm stuck with advertising.